House owners are very arrogant and unfriendly. They are not helpful. In such context, can't you change the house from that?
It's very difficult. I don't have a man at my house, so
Yeah.
nobody gives me any house for rent.
Okay.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Shall I take a photo, ma'am?
A question to old lady.
Yes. You are invited. You are welcome.
My dear old lady, why are you so intemperate? Why are you so intemperate? Is it because your husband is troubling a lot inside the home?
Well, no, it never happens. So, in fact, I trouble him.
You trouble your husband.
Of course. Yeah.
One question to mother.
As many women do.
My dear mother, were you really offended by the violent reaction of the old lady when your daughter broke the vase?
Yes, I didn't know how to react. It's the first time I'm coming across such a rude woman. I was just struck. I just had the oranges to give that lady to satisfy her, so I just gave it and came out.
One last question.
Any more?
Yeah, one last question for the mother also. You think you will become friends? I'll ask the both of you. Do you think you'll become friends first to the mother? Is there a potential of you becoming friends? Good neighbor.
I'm scared of the old lady, so I cannot be a friend of her.
Okay, thank you very much. Wait, let's do the letter, dear, right? So I'll have the little girl. The little girl is now an adult. She writes a letter to the old lady.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
This one, you're the mother writing a letter to the old lady.
Old lady.
You're the old lady writing a letter to the little girl. Same way, yeah. Old lady writing to the little girl. Just 5 lines, and then we'll take a break. We'll have lunch. It's over and over again with different texts, and it really makes, you know, I'll say that it brings the text. Okay, so we're gonna write the summary, the first paragraph. With your students, what will happen is maybe one will be the strongest and they'll write it for everybody. But, so if your students, if it's just one that's doing all the work, another student record. But we just don't want one student to do it for everybody. Now I think too, before you're gonna do it like this, it's better to do it all together with the whole class, 2 or 3 times. You see what I mean? Because they'll leave a lot of, they'll need some models. Okay, so try it. Try to simulate it. Talk about it and have someone get everybody's ideas down. Okay? So what do you think? Let's start. The story begins with what? Description of a charwoman. Of a charwoman. Let's see what grammar did it. And then at the end, I want to talk a little bit about the unit, how it's structured, and how you might work with the unit itself. All right. All right. So let's hear some of these. Who wants to start? Another minute. Okay, so which group wants to go first? In the front?
The side covers me. It deals with the sorrow of a little girl who unwittingly breaks down a precious flower vase and exposes the intemperate nature of the old and rich female neighbor. The innocent childhood and his playfulness leads to the development of a conflict between the two neighbors, upsetting the thin veil of social relations. The old lady, having exposes her anger over the destruction caused, the old lady relents and offers oranges to the child. The overall theme of the story is forgiveness.
It seems like it. All right, that was really nice, huh? Wow. Very well written. Around a little. Yeah.
Not just oranges, it's a short story about relationship between neighbors. In the story, there is a charwoman who has one only daughter. She purchased a blue ball for her daughter with which she always plays. One day, unfortunately, the ball bounced so high that it dashes into the window of their neighbors and breaks a vase. The malachors react violently and they don't accept the apology from the charwoman. She returns home with her daughter frustrated. Soon Melchor comes to their house with the ball in her hand and asks whether the girl is sleeping, and she returns the ball saying that they don't want others' money as compensation. She also returns the oranges given by the charwoman out of courtesy after smelling them, leaving an ambiguous conclusion that shows either her transformation or class disguise.
Nice.
Short story of neighbors living beside Malcho's family. It describes the life of the Chow woman and her little daughter. The story begins with the life of Chow woman and her little daughter and their poverty-ridden conditions. The little girl, in addition to the eatables brought by her mother, is fond of a blue ball. It's an apple of the eye for a little girl. While playing with it, the ball hit the flower vase of Malchus. The rage of the old woman knew no bounds. She wanted to beat the girl and teach a lesson for her mistake. When the mother, resuming home after her work, came to know about the trivia of the little girl, they went together to the Malchus to seek an apology for their mistake and promised to pay for it. Malchus was surprised by her and she was embarrassed and realizes her mistake. Symbolically, it shows the forgiveness of the old lady and thankfulness of the mother.
Very nice, huh? Wow.
Yeah, the story begins with the description of a charwoman from a lower class who lives alone with her daughter. She works in the hospital and brings home fruits and goodies for her daughter. The 5-year-old daughter was well dressed, well fed. The girl one day asked her mother for a wonderful blue ball. The mother buys it from the toy shop. Despite her struggles, the girl bounced with happiness as the ball bounced. The ball accidentally flew into the neighbor's house, Mrs. Marshall's house. The owl was angry and should aggressively shouted the child. The child panicked and started crying. When the mother came, she rushed towards the mother and embraced the mother. She went to neighbors. The mother took the girl to the neighbor's house along with the girl. Panicking, it does not work. Later, the old lady comes to the charwoman's house. When she is offered oranges, later there is a change of art in the old woman. She placed the same oranges near the little girl, showing the empathy towards the girl. At last, the old woman realized the mistake that she committed.
Right. Now, looking at the book, you see what I mean? I was looking at the chapter. It's actually it's a very nice book. A lot of times, and I was having a discussion just now with one of our colleagues at lunch. Sometimes the teacher thinks, because we're reading literature, I have to teach the literature, right? And in more traditional classroom settings, when you read literature, really you're teaching history of literature, right? You give a lot of information about Russian realism, British realism, and Indian realism, and make a timeline and that sort of thing. But I think in your classroom, you're not really teaching the literature, or you shouldn't really worry about teaching the literature. You're using the literature as a vehicle for language development. Do you see the difference? In other words, the literature is an excuse or a context to begin some activities, whether it's grammar, speaking, reading, writing, listening, to develop your students' skills.
Text is a text.
Does that make sense to you? So in other words, we usually replicate or perpetuate our own experiences. And that, for teachers, what does that mean? If you had a very traditional lecture-oriented schooling, right? So that whenever you read a literature, the teacher was lecturing about the history of the text and giving you interpretation, then generally what will happen is we'll reproduce that. Do you see what I mean? So the hard thing for us to do is to try to break away from the way you were taught and then focus more on using the text and your textbooks to create a space where the students can interact with the language. See what I mean? Because it's through that interaction that they're going to develop the confidence and the motivation and the skills. So, and this is why when we did the workshops these last 3 days, before you did the unit, you might do a free writing about neighbors, right? You might do a gallery walk. You might have a rating activity or a ranking activity. You don't have to do all of them. But see, here even in the pre-reading activities, the questions are very good. But here's what I think is going to happen if you use this. Can you guess what this story is from the title? Can you guess? Can you guess? So we'll go again to the teacher asking questions, student responding. Teacher asking questions, student responding. Teacher asking questions, student responding. So we want to break away from that pattern to more the pattern that I think, the pattern that we had these last 3 days, where first let me think about it, let me write down my ideas, let me share with the group, then let me respond, and the teacher's going to facilitate that. Do you see what I mean? You might do the read aloud, right? You might read it aloud the first day. With the vocabulary items, I really suggest looking at those activities for vocabulary. Now, for the grammar, by the time you do the tableau and the hot seat, the post-reading activities are very simple for them, right? Because it's just basically reading comprehension questions. For example, who are the main characters of the story? Well, already they've begun to demonstrate that throughout the thing. Or what kind of life did they lead? Do you see what I mean? So if your students can do the tableau, the hot seat, have the discussion circle, already they can answer these questions very easily, very quickly. Now with the grammar, this is really important. But I don't think you need to do it like 50 minutes of grammar non-stop. What we can do is what we call a mini lesson. Do you see what I mean? So you take 10 minutes of each of, let's say you're going to have 5 hours, 5 days, 1 week. Take the first 15 minutes of each day to do the focus on grammar. You see what I mean? So in other words, what I think you want to do is, when you're planning your lesson, and I think more when you're planning the unit, you want to think about what are some activities I can include that are not only going to increase their comprehension of these beautiful texts, but also are going to create opportunities, and then we'll do it. You can break it up. Even with this essay, the description, you can let them start for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, think about it at home, the next day they finish it in 10 minutes or something like that. Then, I wouldn't, if you're having them do all this writing, remember, you don't have to correct every one. Just pick one for the week. Like this time, I'm going to do, so it's more of a portfolio. The students are going to select their best work from the semester and ask for a grade. If you're doing groups, I don't suggest a group much bigger than 5. When the group gets too big, some of the students don't do anything. It's not clear enough what they should do. You see, if you have a group of 10, you can be sure that 5 won't do anything. You see what I mean? So make the group small enough that they have distinct roles. Do you have any questions or comments about that? Excuse me. How do you approach planning? How do you plan for your lesson? What's your process? Okay, turn and talk. Let's do this first. What is your process? If you have a new unit, or let's say you've taught the unit, what's your process for planning? How do you go about sort of planning, what am I going to do? You know, and as you work in schools long enough and you work with the same book, the planning comes very naturally. Some people like to always write down the lesson plan. You know, other people like to improvise. I think for the first year, second year, third year, better to make a little bit of a plan. Doesn't have to be very detailed, but an agenda. What are you going to do that day? And then think, how much of this is student-centered? When is the teacher going to lecture? What percentage of the class time is that going to be? Do you see what I mean? What's the assignment? What am I going to grade that day or collect that day? Do you see what I mean? These are the things that I like to think of. And then, always, what are the products that I want them to take away at the end of the unit? And maybe it's always the same product. You see what I mean? I want them to be able to write a summary. And the next time, I want them also to write a better summary than last time. Do you see what I mean? All right, turn and talk, and let's talk a little bit about process. How do you go about planning? Just with your group. Yeah, this is a good question. What else do you do?
And from that, they can ask questions among themselves. What is this? What is it going to be? Or what we can detect from this title? What may be the theme of the...
Okay, so they start predicting. Okay. What about when you actually start teaching? Let's say, okay, it's day 2. What are some things that you...
So I divide the lesson into 3 parts.
Okay.
First one is the motivation. Regarding the topic, the title, without knowing, without telling them the title, without introducing the title, and try to take them.
Okay, and you all do that, yes, sort of motivate them for. Okay, and then what?
After that, introduce the topic, and I teach them. That's part also the presentation. After finishing the topic, I will elicit some answers regarding that from the students regarding the lesson which I taught yesterday or day before yesterday.
Group discussions about topics which deals with the course. For example, some lessons deals with some racial distinctions, caste system.
Yeah.
We will ask, they have a discussion about social media. So they discuss about it. Later on, I will go to the list. What the
for every class, I take a photograph as your class. Might be a great figure, a personality. For example, Sachin Tendulkar, a great cricket batsman. So that by showing that picture, illustrating few examples with the help of the simple words like might have, would have done, able to carry on, few words, model verbs or verb phrases, that helps the student to understand the step for the next time. So I'll take limited 2-3 words so that they are going to give information to me in writing or in, because already I have done practice with them, showing that picture, writing few examples of it. I have helped myself in writing, in struggling with the words, completing the sentence, few students giving answers. After that, I'll directly discuss the text in order to write the gist of with the help of those model verbs or these words, because every time our students gets very difficulty in furnishing a sentence where the subject takes place, where the object takes place, and they don't have an idea of the helping verbs and its importance. When helping verb takes and what is the importance of main verb, what is really the correlation of helping verb and main verb. So instead of going into that grammatical elements, straight away I will give a model example to the best illustration. That looks very easy for them initially. Later they'll by heart the essay what I have given the notes, and they'll
going for. If they have observed any such things, any they have to observe in their neighborhood. They have to write a write-up. They have to mention.
Also, you apply to their community.
Yes, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And the other day I asked the students, illiterates also use some English words in their locality. Even though they are not educated, they'll use road, they'll use college, they'll use school. They think that we are not educated, but actually they have a lot of English with them. So I'll ask them to motivate the students, as the illiterates have a lot of English. As the illiterates have a lot of English, the students can speak in English with mistakes. It is possible. I'll motivate them in such a way.
What do you think? You want to add anything?
How much
so the other students can also understand.
Yeah. To me, I think that I agree.
Audiovisual aids.
Okay.
Related to
I like that, and I do think that it is the best. You all do, for sure. You know, it's fun. And then you really understand the story too. Yeah. It stays with you. So you do some focus on vocabulary building.
Once they are able to understand the vocabulary, the text becomes very easy for them. Text becomes easy for them. And at the same time, they will be inspired to read the complete. The thing is, we have to make our students not just like a classroom work. It's a group work. It's just like an activity, more fun like lesson plan. In other way, they are going to be benefited with the language.
That's
They are
right.
able to speak language unconsciously. We are learning English language.
That's right.
If they ask them to the Riyaz, they won't. These activities really help the students.
Good. But the thing that we can't forget to consider is not only what I'm going to do, what are the students going to do? What are the products that they're going to work with? What are the outcomes? How will I know that they've understood the text, or how will I know that they've understood this grammar, or that they've doing? Do you see what I mean? And if you observe your teaching, and one thing that's very interesting is to have someone video you, and then you watch it by yourself. When you observe yourself, you want to be looking not only what you're doing, but what are the students doing? Do you see what I mean? And that's a different way of thinking about teaching, because in a more traditional context, teaching is about what the teacher does. and what the teacher says. But in a more contemporary paradigm, it's shifted to the students. So the focus becomes on what the students are doing, and the teacher really does become a partner in the, it's not the leader so much, it's more of a partner in learning. Okay, do you have any questions or comments, anything you want to share? But I do recommend that you video yourself and then watch it by yourself in private and focus not only, and when you're looking at yourself teaching, I want you to focus on what are the students doing. How much language are they producing? What's the linguistic and cognitive difficulty of those tasks? Do you see what I mean? And that's where you want to push them even further. Okay, any questions or comments about that? Now, one of the things that we know is that it's so important to build relationships with your students, right? Why is that so important to have positive relationships with your students? And I know that you work on creating that relationship. Why do you do it?
It encourages them to be free in the class and interact with them.
Definitely. You all agree?
And then no longer, they will not be afraid of making mistakes.
Yes. Okay. What else?
Facilitates in teaching and learning.
Get tuned to.
It facilitates teaching and learning. Why is that? If you have a good relationship, it's going to be a better class.
Yeah, they can
It
get
is a rapport with the students.
students.
The good rapport. The student should share. They're feeling very freely with the teacher to learn.
Okay, the same idea, that they were confident to share. This idea, language, learning is very emotional, right? It's very, very emotional, and we remember things for years and years and years, right? So we want to create this positive climate in our classroom because it will influence not only the students' achievement that semester, but far into the future, right? So let's try and do a couple of more activities that are focused more on relationship building. One is the coat of arms. And so what this comes from medieval Europe, and this is before they had flags, they had shields, right? So on this sort of shield, you would have different symbols which represented the values of that noble family. So in your groups, what I'd like you to do, and this is something fun to do at the beginning of the year, when you're establishing groups, is I want you to have a discussion. What are the things you have in common in terms of your values? What are some of the principles that you share? And I want you to take a piece of poster board, right? And I want you to create a shield with at least 4 symbols, okay, for those values. And at the bottom, I'd like you to create a motto for your group, okay? So first have a discussion. What are 4 values that you share? How will you represent them? And what would be the motto for your group? Okay, do we still have paper?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay, so we got some poster paper. Okay, so first have that discussion. And then you're going to make a coat of arms. So what are some of them? You're going to represent those values. It can be a symbol or image. So what are some of the things important for you as individuals? Being, okay, your humanity, being humane, empathy. All right, what else? Decide what's something that you share in terms of yeah, and so let's say honesty. But instead of writing the word honesty, draw a symbol that represents honesty. Like a flag. So it becomes abstract. What are some other values? How will you represent peace? You have to be low. Okay, what other things you value together? What does it represent? What else? Bravery. How do you represent bravery? So someone.
Environmental protection. Prosperity.
Blank, dark,
Ideas. Discipline.
World dependency. More important teachers wearing the burden of the
Hands symbolize the hands.
Then there's a hard work.
Okay, let's do this just to make it more inclusive. Okay, let's do this just to make it more fun. In addition, okay, so we'll do both. I don't think they're ready. You're ready? Yes. Alright, let's take a break. They're going to start to give us an example. Alright, let's give us.
We are a group of teachers who love our work. We don't consider it as a burden. To show this, to show that we love our work and we always offer our services with smile, we showed this, and you can find W here also. And the picture of a smiley that was distorted.
What is the value?
Okay, this is the value. This encompasses almost all the values. If you do not love your work, what's the heck is your work, life is worth? This encompasses all the values. Maybe worship. Work is worship for us. Work is worship. Okay, next one is we don't work hard. We work smart. Somebody works for 10 hours. We work for 1 hour. To show that we symbolically we put it as a symbol S, and we earn a lot when compared to the others. Because we work smart, that's why a dollar symbol is also there. You can find yes and I for intelligence also. This is followed by the next one is we like team spirit. We work as a team. It includes students, society, and everybody. To show that, we have written this symbol T, which includes the happiness of the entire society around us. As a team, we like to work just like this. And the next one is progress of the world entirely depends upon the teachers. We have the teachers bearing the burden of the earth,
The earth is there because the teachers are bearing the burden, and to show that progress is because of teachers, we have drawn some steps over here. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah. Let me do some thing before I perform. Before performing something else.
Is it an action or you fell down?
Got it. If I reach the pinnacle of my success, thank you. I reached the Everest. Wow, thank you. Part, I'm successful. Otherwise, not.
Failures are the stepping stones of success.
Of course, maybe for that, it's a commitment. It's commitment till I reach my success. So this is one part which you need to have as a teacher. The second one, we have done that. Okay.
Boozer.
Oh, very nice.
You keep it up, will definitely get success in your life. Thank you, my child. This is a child. I'm showing something. Such child, after getting inspiration, getting love and affection from teacher, she has gone to school to continue her studies.
We were thinking the half-filled class paradise.
No. Of course, maybe the office, empty your office work. Okay, fine. The next, maybe if it works or not, I don't know anything else. Fine.
Left, right, left, right.
Salute.
Saudhan.
Mera Bharat Mahan.
Next time. Student.
So, these are the things which I have done here. What could it indicate? Yeah, of course, discipline, punctuality, which as a teacher should have to cultivate in the life of teacher. Okay, fine. More This.
Nani kadu nokta maki yakuna neka.
So what did that indicate? What does it indicate actually? Actually, it's a banana. Instead of throwing out in the street, I've taken it. I've given it to a cow, which is so hungry. A cow is hungry. I can also, particularly in the city life, all the cows and all the animals are eating the plastics. Instead of throwing out, you can give it a banana, what do you call that? Peel off the banana to the cow. Thank you.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
Friends, I hope you would excuse me, you would excuse us for our scene is going to be not a dramatic one. It's only a simple picture presentation. As you see, the symbol of peace, an apostle of peace, Mahatma Gandhi, after Buddha and Jesus, I think, is the modern Messiah who inspired many a man, including Martin Luther King of America to Mandela of Africa, and who has remained a symbol for peace, non-violence, integrity, honesty and simplicity. So that stands for Mahatma Gandhi, the modern Messiah of peace and love. Then the tree, a symbol for prosperity and happiness. If nature is good, we will be good. If it is in shambles, everybody's life is going to be ruined. So a symbol for prosperity, happiness, etc., etc. The book, symbol of knowledge. Of course, being in the profession of teaching, I think everybody knows its significance and importance. Symbol for knowledge. Then the burning candle, yourselves, every teacher, by burning himself, spreads the light, illuminates the light world, and thereby melts. Right? Burning candle. Then the clock, a symbol for time management. Of course, for teacher or for every individual or for everybody in this world, time management is very necessary. Then only you can achieve the desired goals or reach to the success platform. So symbol for time management. Hope we have delivered our goods well. Thank you.
These are the core values that were selected. The first core value, we believe individually and in the group. This meant for
peace.
That's very nice. Peace. Okay. The symbolic expression that we have chosen is a pigeon, a kaboutar.
Dog.
If there's any mistake, you can assume that's a kaboutar. In its pictorial description. So peace is very important to everybody's life. The entire world is behind that, and let us hope there won't be any chaos for the next generation to carry on the defense system that nature has given us. Try to understand the defense system that we got immunized. Being here, we've been looking at the what should I say, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, very rigid, stubborn. But the next generation is not like that, so peace must prevail. And the second core value is that's very thank you once again. This is a dog which we generally assume, though it's not really universal. I do believe, okay, faithfulness is there. So with the help of faith, we can win everybody's heart and will be convincingly in our comfortable rooms. And the third one, it's a bravery. So, the defense bravery is very important for anybody, for a country, for any region. So bravery is very important. So I've chosen soldier for the atomic symbolification, and this is the father of nation.
Non-violence.
So truth and non-violence, which is okay. The big applaud throughout the. It's a universal appeal. Everybody applauded his reference in their writings, in their fiction. So truth and non-violence seems to be the most appealing factor for everybody.
Right.
So I try to retain this thing.
Now you're hungry. Okay, 3 different poems. They're all portrait poems. So what you would do is you complete the poem. For example, I am Spencer, son of the Solace family, who needs, who loves, who sees, and you just complete it and you end up with a poem. Poem 2 is longer, it has 3 stanzas, poem 1 is short again, but it's really just completion. Now, when you do these poems, tell them these are non-rhyming poems, because the importance is the choice of the meaning of the word, not the rhyme. So you wouldn't do it as rhyming poems. And also I think because you're going to be working a lot in groups, have them write the poem as a group. So instead of I am, you can say we are, right? We are. So what I want you to do in your group is pick one of the poems. If you pick poem 2, it can just be 1 stanza. And I want you to finish the poem as a group. And then afterwards, you're all going to read it together. Okay? Together aloud. Also. That's right, a simple present, yes.
So that I can be stress-free.
Okay, look, this is a great idea. You can use this to focus on grammar. You can even change the poem so it's bringing out a particular grammar point. Yeah.
Add an adjective to it.
Adjective. Okay. Go ahead, do it now together. Pick one of these and write it together, then you'll read it together.
Just for the sake of fun, right? Just for the sake of practice.
What the pessimist would
Just editing.
You know, do you do cheers in your class? We do it more for the little kids, but I'll teach you one. It's kind of fun and you can do it anytime. After the group does a good job. All right, so we're going to say bravo, bravo, amazing. But what we'll do is we'll count. So you got your, so we'll count to 8 like this. Copy me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Together. Okay, ready? Wait, ready? 8 times, then bravo. 8 times, bravo. 8 times, then we're going to go amazing. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bravo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bravo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bravo. Amazing. All right, ready? Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bravo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bravo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Amazing. Okay. So let's hear each group, and then we'll do the cheer for the group.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's start with this group. Now read it all together, all right?
Come.
All right, ready? All right, the first group we're going to do.
Okay.
Ready? Then we'll do the cheer. Yeah, let's use the mic. You want
We are optimistic and hardworking. We wonder why some people are distressed. We hear of clocks strike. We see a silver lining on every cloud. We want a world full of hope. We are optimistic and hardworking.
Bravo! Bravo! All right, everybody, we're gonna start now. We're gonna start.
We understand the miracle of smart work. We say team spirit is the key to success. We dream to realize the dreams of our students. We try to reach up to the expectations of the nation. We hope that better sense prevails in the world because of teachers. We are the teachers of India and citizens of the world.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow!
Thank you.
Wow, learn. Somewhat different, you know.
Now we are going to give you an active image of ourselves.
All of us.
Yeah, thank you. We are self-proclaimed intellectuals of teaching fraternity.
One second, please. We are the self-proclaimed intellectuals of teaching fraternity. We are the favorite sons of God who need the love and care of our parents, who love indulging in futile discussions, who see evil in others rather than virtue, who hate being sincere, sympathetic, loyal, and hardworking, who fear our own image, who dream of utopian world filled with novel, who have found the poems of very appealing to our own age. We are the residents of the second intellectual city, that is Byzantium.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
We are the self-proclaimed intellectuals of the teaching fraternity. We are the favorite sons of God, who need the love and care of our parents, who love indulging in futile discussion, who see evil in others rather than virtue, who hate being sincere, sympathetic, loyal, and hardworking, who fear our own image, who dream of utopian world with no work, who have found the poems of hope very appealing, which are trivial and mundane. We are the residents of the intellectual city Byzantium.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
We are sons and daughters. We are sons and daughters of India.
We are a group of teachers. We are sons and daughters of India
Who need a lot of patience and knowledge. Who love our students and teaching.
who see a bright future for our students.
Who hate ignorance and lethargy in them. Who fear failure of our students. Who dream of a great India. Who have found poems of Tagore, Wordsworth, Keats worthy and inspiring. We are the residents of this beautiful planet Earth.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You have more?
We
We are a group of teachers. We are sons and daughters of India. Who need a lot of patience and knowledge. Who loves students and teaching.
who see a bright future for students, who hate ignorance and lethargy in them, who fear failure of our students,
who dream of a literate India,
who has found poems of Tagore, Wordsworth, Keats worthy and inspiring.
We are the residents of beautiful planet Earth.
The last 3 days, we talked about this idea of reading the Word, reading the world, right? And you have to do both. You can't not do basics, but you can't only do whole language. You have to do both. So we focused on activities for speaking, for discussion, with the principle that you always allow students multiple opportunities to prepare. We looked at the gallery walk, the survey, the ranking activity, and the very complex discussion circle, which has these two parts, the discussants and the feedback. So in this figuration, listening is as important as speaking, right? Both are important. Then we did some reading activities using solitary reaper, right? We talked about using Tableau to stimulate schema or also to check for comprehension. We had the hot seat oranges, right? More oranges. So we tried out some of the different activities using a prose text, and then we finished today doing a focus on this idea of classroom environment. How do you create community, all right, with your students? Well, that's really the end of the program today, but I know it's just the beginning of your career, so I wish you a lot of success. You were a great group. I really enjoyed working with you, and I like the energy and the sharing. So we'll take a break now, and at 4 o'clock, I think they're coming to do the ceremony.
Suggestions for improvement.
Well, I think that in terms of suggestions for improvement, I think that one thing I learned and you all can speak to it, though, ones who have been teaching a long time, is that you know, you go through different phases in your career. You want to have a long career, but you want to have a happy one, you know, where you have the same energy you have today. So what I learned, I think, is that when I was unhappy in the classroom for some reason, and sometimes you are unhappy with the class, you know, you have to think, okay, what am I doing? What am I not doing? What can I change, right? And be proactive, like you were saying, be proactive about it, because, you know, you're the teacher. If something's not working for you well in your classroom, you must try to see what you can do, because it's always easy to blame it on the students, right? But you're going to have to find ways to be proactive so that you can be happy. I think too that it's really important to take good care of yourself. A lot of time the teacher is like this giving tree who gives and gives, but the teacher also has to make time for herself, for himself, and not be, it's not selfish to do something for yourself once in a while. You see what I mean? Because it's a very selfless profession. You have to take very good care of yourself, and also remember to not forget about yourself. You see what I mean? That's the thing. But in terms of here, I think that overall, you know, it's the kind of energy that you brought this week and that openness and friendliness. I think this really motivates and sustains students. You know, something as simple as a smile, it's a very powerful tool for teaching and learning, especially in a field that's as emotional as language learning. But to me, you know, your level is strong, and what really impressed me with the group is you're willing to try new things, take risks, right? So I would just say continue to take risks and be, like you talked about, be very positive. You know, you have to celebrate the good things that happen in your school and with your students. Because the achievement maybe in the rural school is not so high, right? But when you have achievement, you should celebrate it and be happy for it. That's my suggestion. Yeah. Okay. Take a little break? Yeah. We'll come back at 4.
Ready?
Nice to see you.
Welcome you all to the valedictory session of the 3-day ELF workshop on reading the world, promoting additive literacies in the ELT classroom. With the permission of our commissioner, I would like to present a brief report on the ELF workshop. (2014) is a year of new beginnings and new aspirations, and we are happy to commence this year on a positive note with a workshop to offer a clear perspective to our teachers on professional responsibilities, on how to cope with teaching syllabus, large and sometimes overcrowded classrooms, and latest technologies, diverse curricula, and ever-changing needs of students. The workshop struck the note of acceptance from day one of initiation. Keeping learners engaged in their language learning requires a range of activities that are interesting, creative, and task-based. The teachers during these 3 days were exposed to doses of well-planned, meaningful reading and writing strategies and mini activities, classroom warmers and starters that not only enhance learning but also create a harmonious learning environment in classrooms and prepare students for more rigorous learning tasks. Day 1 was scattered to focus on challenges faced by teachers in large classrooms, and teachers brainstormed and looked together at ways to involve students in group tasks and make them more interactive and encourage them to use English language. The 3 days followed a common pattern wherein a strategy is introduced, teachers try it out, related to the prescribed syllabus, and plug in gaps for final use. Day 2 was scattered to applying the techniques like gallery walk, rating, surveys, discussion circles to some of the lessons being taught in colleges, and teachers devised lesson ideas to suit the different learning abilities of students. As teachers are familiar with the interests, goals, language strength and weaknesses of their students, the teachers use these 3 days brainstorming possible ideas, plans that can work with students. Day 3 focused on read alouds as a powerful tool to help students practice English in class. Teachers are encouraged to push students to read aloud. Teachers were also advised to conduct reading aloud sessions, allowing students to listen to short stories or novels. This is an important strategy in view of our Indian households where most parents are uneducated. Teachers also have these suggestions to make. Separate periods should be allotted to read alouds and listening in college timetable. Students can have opportunities on Mana TV live telecast to read short stories in a series of continuous sessions. The class also gives specific strategies to improve free writing abilities. The final evaluation of the trainer helped teachers with teaching hints for better output in the classrooms. The highlight of the workshop is a comprehensive handy study booklet that will help our teachers use frequently as a reference guide. The tea and lunch breaks were also put to fruitful use, with teachers interacting informally with the trainer and colleagues on various learning strategies. The compact group of 21 teachers was also ideal number as it facilitated free flow of ideas and opinions and exercises to make our students self-assured and English-friendly. The workshop proved that lot of knowledge can fit into a tiny 3-day capsule. Thank you. Is response from the participants. I now invite Srimati R. Shobha Rani from Government Degree College, Gajwel, to share her views and ideas about the 3-day workshop.
Dignitaries on the dais, my dear friends, a very good afternoon to all of you.
it was a very fruitful experience. I can say that these 3 days, before coming here, we were told that I will be having lesson plans and how to complete diaries and all. It will be something routine type of stuff. But the first day I was shocked to see that it was nothing routine. It was entirely different. We were so much engrossed in our work that unless someone reminds us that it is lunchtime and tea time, we were always deep in our work. It was a very good experience. I personally feel that I forgot that I'm a lecturer and I became a student. We thank the CCE department for organizing such a wonderful program. We look forward to have some more programs like this. And I thank sir, Mr. Spencer sir, because he was so cooperative. He never corrected us, or he never, pinpointed any mistake or anything. He was always positive. And we would like to learn that quality from sir, that be positive always. See the positive side of the students. No matter what kind of stuff we are going to get or what kind of stuff we are dealing in the colleges. It is very good, sir. On behalf of all my friends, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Thank you. Tanuja from Government Degree College, Begumpet.
Dignitaries on the dais, Commissioner Sir Sri Gabriel Garu, Academic Guidance Officer David Garu, and Joint Director Ms. Geetanjali. Good evening to everybody. It is my privilege to stand before you on behalf of the participants who have attended this workshop. At the outset, I wish to thank our Commissioner and the academic cell for conducting such an enriching program for the teachers. The workshop had been an eye-opener, and we now understand the relevance and importance of the communicative, student-centered teaching methodology. We are thankful to our resource person, Professor Stephen Salas, who has successfully introduced us to the different activities and strategies to be used in the classroom. He demonstrated to us through activities how to build learning, reading, analytical, writing capabilities, and creating the right classroom environment for the students. These strategies, we understand, would help students of mixed abilities to work together, learn to assign tasks according to the capabilities of the students, which would encourage them to be part of the performing group. Otherwise, usually a section of the students are neglected. I am sure the teachers would use all these activities for the teaching of their respective curriculum. These ELF workshops enable or could be resolved in English classes of not being boring or uninteresting. To conclude, we would like to appreciate and thank the ELF coordinator, Ms. Selina, for this excellently organized and well-planned workshop. I thank her.
Devi Sharma from Government Degree College, City.
Good evening to all the dignitaries on the days. I thank, especially I thank our Commissioner Sir and our Academic Guidance and Monitoring Officer for including me in this ELF workshop. I thank you very much, sir. Regarding the 3-day workshop, I reckon it is the free writing. I utilized it at my home after the class was over. I found it very useful. I worked it with my 3rd class student who is my daughter. It worked out fruitfully, wonderfully. But I need to improve. And after coming over here, I learned I need so much to learn. And I learned this quotation from my friend: a teacher either should love his profession or leave his profession. I liked it a lot. And regarding the class of Professor Spencer, your classes are full of sweetness and light, in the terms of Jonathan Swift. I heard it said that an American would like to conquer the world, and you conquered our hearts. I am grateful to you. And you are the third person from the US who influenced me a lot. The first one is Ayn Rand, who taught me the greatness of selfishness. And the second one is Dr. Stephen R. Covey, who taught me the greatness of sharing and becoming the best person to transform the world, to share the world's resources to its best usage. And you are the third one. I am thoroughly grateful to you for your kindness, sir. I end my speech with my favorite quote of Tennyson: "Let knowledge grow from more to more, but more reverence in us dwell, that mind and soul according well may make one music as before." Tennyson in memoriam, AHH.
Sri S. Kumbhava.
Most honored Commissioner, Collegiate Education, revered teacher himself, Honorable AGO, and respected Madam, my dear co-participants, a warm good evening. At the outset, I would like to thank the Commissionerate and the AGO for providing this wonderful workshop. Friends, I joined this service in 2011 as a DL, as a direct recruitee. Before that, I had put in 22 years of service in the private sector, 12 years working with a single engineering college in Hyderabad and 10 years working with a degree and PG college in Nalgonda district. During those 22 years, rarely and barely I had 2-3 such opportunities of attending workshops like this. But during the last 2 years, this is the 12th such either training or workshop or program. I am really grateful. I understand the AGO is behind all this. I came to know, I gathered information from several sources. He is making everybody dynamic and he is making everybody work and work and work. Because he is also working. I am really happy because I am in Mahbubabad. Actually, I settled in Hyderabad. I have got a little home here, but I am in Mahbubabad. Now and then I feel sick of this staying alone and preparation of food and this. But I immediately remember AGO Saab and Commissioner Madam. This is second time I am seeing Gabriel Saab. The other time it was during Yodaranga festival. Probably 17th or 18th time I am interacting with the higher officials in this department during the last 2 years. I really feel very happy because the higher ups are making me work. Earlier also, when I was in private sector, it was always like a soldier standing at an international border. Now also situation is same, but there is a little comfort and relief. For that I thank, because that is required, that is highly required. Otherwise we cannot reach out to the student community. So sir, I hope this would continue and these kind of workshops would really engage the teaching fraternity. What I feel is, language teacher is a surrogate parent, a parent away from home. A child learns so many things, so much from the parent in the initial stages. Similarly, a student learns so much from the language teacher. See, everything emanates from language teacher. In order to learn science, arts, computer, whatever it is, first of all, the student should have some basic structures of language. As such, language teacher is a surrogate parent that we need to understand. And teaching language is a simple logic if you have a command over vocabulary. Vocabulary makes you an excellent and engaging teacher, an enthralling teacher, an enthusiastic teacher, an electrifying teacher. Vocabulary needs to be built. Vocabulary needs to be applied for reaching out to the last bencher in the classroom. I tell you, English teaching is not at all a hard task. It's not a Herculean task. For the last 24 or so years, I have been in the hearts of my students. They love my class, even it is at 3:10 or 3 o'clock, they love to come to my class. I am proud to share this with you. The first day I shared with you how I teach. I teach English in such a simplistic manner. So much so today, my students at GTC Mahbubabad who have never opened up their mouth in English, they ask me so many questions now. At 4 o'clock also, if they happen to see me, sir, have you taken bath? Yes, I have taken in the early morning. Because I made them utter, I made them know, I made them speak all these basic sentence patterns in English. Every first 5 minutes in my class, I take interaction. And recently our college was provided with 2 opportunities of sending 2 teams. They participated in Manati Live program. So for that also I trained them. Like that, so many opportunities I am getting, I am really thankful to that. And regarding this workshop, Professor Spencer has given us so many new things, so many new techniques, so many new methodology of teaching English. First of all, for example, gallery walk, regalia, hot seat, and so many tableau, so many such things. But I understand, gallery walk may not be a cakewalk for all of us, but sometimes, definitely, at least, occasionally we may have to take it up and we may have to conduct it. That would definitely go a long way. Gallery walk. Sir has given us a new technique, sir. I am sure all of us would carry back and we would definitely implement. And regarding so many other aspects, if I look back at my profession, my experience and all, definitely I feel the techniques that I learned here, I am going to show that they would crystallize my teaching and they would crystallize my ideas. And Professor Spencer, definitely I would implement all those techniques and I would definitely rise to the desired levels. And once again, finally I thank the Commissionerate, the AGO office and all others who are behind it for arranging this workshop. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam.
Participants want to felicitate Dr. Spencer. With your permission, I request Mr. Reddaya Garu to conduct the process.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, dear colleagues, good evening to all. As a token of gratitude, we would like to share our love for Professor Spencer Salas. So I feel it as a privilege to honor him, and we together feel it as an honor to honor him. So I would like to invite Shrikant to garland Professor Spencer.
Please. Marvelous opportunity. Entertain us for the last bit.
I request some of the lecturers to accompany Mr. Shrikant.
Come. Shubham, come. May I ask? Make it fast.
Please come. May I now request to come out and present him in the book.
Come on, Shamas. Come on. Go on, read the book. Come on, make it close. Madam, side, please. Open, okay. Sir, right.
Thank you. Okay, I now request Dr. Shobarani him the gift we have.
Only one gift.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Come clear. Mirror. Come somebody. One more.
We have one for Professor Spencer and another for his better off.
Thank you.
Two more people will give. Okay. Two more people will give. Come, ma'am. Make it fast. It's side on it on okay.
Thank you. This for ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much for. Thank you. Inspiring us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks so much to the Commissioner and my colleagues up at the dais and Thanks to Selena and Roslyn and Nancy for all the work they did for organizing the program, and to the U.S. Embassy, Regional English Language Officer Diane Miller for her sponsorship. I'm sad to leave all of you. That was a very fast 3 days. But what I'll take back to North Carolina with me is this memory of your energy, and I think you transmitted your energy to me. It's exciting to be with so many dynamic teachers, especially at the beginning of your career. So I congratulate the commissioner for the recruitment effort, for finding you, and for supporting you, especially in these first critical years of your teaching. So congratulations on all the work that you do on behalf of your communities and on behalf of the country. And thank you very much.
I now request our Honorable Commissioner to present certificates to our participants. I will call out the names. The serial order will be as per.
Yeah, I also learned.
This is standard.
Madam.
Mrs. Uma Kiran of GDC Agraharam. Mr. C.H. Maruti of GDC Agraharam. Mr. D. Ramakrishna of GDC Godavari Khani. Mr. S. Rajesh Kumar, SKNR GDC Jagityal. Dr. M. Shobha Rani, GDC Mettupalli. Mr. D. Bangari, GDC Bhadrachalam. Mr. N. Vijay Bhaskar Sharma of GDC Bhadrachalam. Mrs. G. Varadakshmi of GDC Palwancha. Mr. D. Reddaya of GDC Saptupalli. Mr. Y. Ramesh from Yellandu. Mrs. C.S. Kiran Mai from GDC Mahbub Nagar. Mrs. Rupna Ravindran of GDC Shad Nagar. Mr. A. Vishweshwar Sharma from GDC Siddipet. Mrs. R. Shobha Rani from GDC Gajweri. Mr. P. Jaykar Rao from GDC Siddipet. Mr. Jalil from GDC Zahirabad. Mrs. Nazni from GDC Zahirabad. Mr. Yadgiri from GDC Ramanapet. Dr. M. Nancy Serena from Academic Cell. Mr. S. O. Kumar from GDC Mahbubabad. Mrs. Bandari Suvarna from GDC Rangasaipet. Mr. N. Ramesh Chandra Srikant from GDC Torur. Mrs. Sabi Fatima from GDC Jalgaon. Thank you, sir. I now request our
Dr. Spencer Salas, Srimati Geetanjali, David Kumar, and all dear participants. I am really happy to note that I can see the smile in your faces and make out that it would have been a very good and excellent experience during these 3 days. And that day also, I think I could a bit motivate you that day. That time. See, I'll just say 1 or 2 words. See, take classroom as your laboratory. Take whatever best experiment you can do. And try to give to the students whatever you have learned here. Then normally what happens, we, in our service normally we attend these workshops. But once we go back, because we are really putting it in practice, it is very, very important. And I am pretty sure that you have been enriched in your knowledge during these 3 days. You have an excellent opportunity to interact with Dr. Spencer. And I hope that you will try to do your best when you go back to the college. Try to motivate our students. Please take care of the last in the bench who is sitting there and see that he also gets, the required knowledge, the benefit which is there. And I wish you all a great success. So thank you one and all.
I now request our Academic Guidance Officer, Dr. R. David Kumar, to propose vote of thanks.
So good evening to all of you. So esteemed Commissioner, Dr. Spencer, the resource person, Madam Geetanjali Madam, Joint Director, Academic Cell members, and teacher participants. So I propose a vote of thanks, the sense of happiness that we are utilizing the opportunities to achieve our objective. So I sincerely thank our Commissioner Sir for his constant support to this student-friendly and student-learner-friendly initiative. And sir, your motivating words on the day of the inauguration is really a pride, your pride in your teachers and your appreciation for the noble profession that have inspired our teachers to take a serious note of this important training. So thank you, sir, for your support in the interest of our student community. Thank you very much. I also thank you, Dr. Spencer, for sharing a practical and workable strategies that can be implemented directly in our Indian classrooms. So special thanks to you for being our culture-friendly and for going out of your way to accommodate our request to customize the methodologies to our curriculum. So thank you very much. So I extend our grateful thanks to the Commissioner of Intermediate Education and the staff for the training facilities providing to us these 3 days. I thank the Chairman APSU for homely hospitality provided to our participants. So thanks to the members of the academic cell for standing me here, and they always help me in process of the initiatives of the department with a lot of confidence. Thank you very much to all my academic cell members. I thank the boys who have helped us in video recording the training, the entire training. So thanks and also thanks to our JKC mentors who are really taking this trial to help us from minute to minute. And Mr. Krishna Reddy, our attender, and helping us, Santosh, and which I need to acknowledge on this occasion. So thank you very much. So finally, I thank our teachers for their participated very enthusiastically, for their active involvement in the workshop, and for sticking the schedule. Please do justice to the workshop by using these strategies into your classrooms and JKC. So JKC is one of our flagship program, so I don't want to leave it at all. So just we have given a 3 days training. So before I close with a vote of thanks. So I want to put two things before our participants. Number one, so every trained teacher must do a follow-up workshop in your respective college and share these techniques with your colleagues and send us the feedback report to ELF mail. So our ELF cell here, in our academic cell, is divided into different verticals. So the ELF is one. Exactly. We'll communicate to them, sir. We'll communicate to them. The follow-up workshops have to be done district-wise, because we have chosen chosen people for this training. Only 60 teachers are going to be trained across the state. So we have to conduct the follow-up workshops, for which we'll give you the guidance how to organize the follow-up workshop. We'll also give you instructions from the commissioner to the principals to coordinate and cooperate with you. So that we'll take care of. So no need to worry. For any kind of help from us, we'll do it. The commissioner will send the instructions from time to time to the principals, so that you please go ahead with this. And second one is, post your lesson plans, your teaching strategies that have worked out well for you on your department's website. In our department, we have department.jbcc.go.in. So there we have the ELF link. You can post all your teaching strategies that you have prepared for your students. So you please post on our website. So these two things I request you, and then from time to time we'll also, my team will follow the things that will happen. And then and second thing, and finally, we have that in mind, the following program. So that is from our academic cell, Commissioner of College Education. Even this we have not even discussed with the Commissioner so far, but because I wanted to tell you, because see, in the strategy is the following. A student exposed to 6 hours to the teachers in a college, called from 10 to 35 o'clock. So out of these 6 hours, he is exposing with, he has interaction with only 1 hour with English teacher. The remaining 5 hours is interacting with the non-English teachers. So we feel there is every need to train the English language teaching skills, especially to the teachers of non-English teachers. So because the student is exposed to only 1 hour, the remaining 5 hours is interacting with the non-English teacher. So the influence of the non-English teachers is very advanced and more on the student than the English teacher. So therefore, we wanted to conduct some workshops for the non-English teachers also, for their sentence constructions, the vocabulary of their subject. For example, mathematics. I am a mathematics guy.
But other language teachers should be exempted.
Exactly.
Don't ask Telugu teachers.
No. Other language teachers are exempted. So I am a mathematics teacher. For example, I tell you one example that because you are English. In Telugu, F oka prameyamu అని అంటారు. F oka prameyamu. But in English teacher, English medium teaching must be like, let F be a function. But I have seen in many cases that the teacher who is teaching mathematics, right, is not giving the correct English. Very simple. We use very simple English. I am not expert in English, but I use very simple English when I go through mathematics. Let F be a function, but the teacher is telling F is a function. So this kind of a small mistakes, grammatical mistakes, even the teachers are doing. So that's why we need to train the English non-English teachers. We are working out with the support from the IFLU, the professors from IFLU. And then I am also going to involve some of you in those workshops. Kindly help us, and also you please come up with some kind of suggestions. We are going to organize maybe in the next month. We are going to release the schedule with the support from our commissioner, sir. So please help us. So this is our action plan, and then please support us as a part of your responsibility. Please, after you go back, please plan for the follow-up workshops. Thank you very much for giving this
Wow! 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow!